That's gonna be a garden video for Rio. He called me out. First of all, I want to say this plant is just growing by itself. I don't know what it is, but I'm intrigued. It's probably some kind of weed, but it's kind of interesting. Second of all, the soil I think I have on my property is bad for plants, actually. These both rhododendrons look like they're dying. I don't know if rhododendrons kill the earth underneath it, but hardly anything was growing here, so maybe they put down poison. So I'm wondering if I could dig these up and replant them, or if like digging them up is going to be a bad idea. Alright, with the actual garden, I'm pretty happy. Flowering is taking place. The peppers and the chilies are brand new. The tomatoes are doing pretty good. I think that this whole thing could have been deeper. I need to add more soil. This was more like a test garden, kind of like getting my fingers wet, so to speak, my thumb green. Berries, Marion berries? I think they're Marion berries. They're kind of like that light reddish color, delicious. So this is where I planted tomatoes actually in my own soil. And so this is sprouting a little bit, but pretty much nothing's happened with these 3 plants. So I think the soil's bad. So look at this, like this bush right here is pretty much just all dead. That's dying. So yeah, I don't know. Things gone wrong. I might as well dig them up and put more soil in there just to see if I could save things. All right. Gotta adding to my Mickeys. Alright, there you go, Rio. The garden, coming along. I'm learning some things. Anyway, let's talk about video games and how excited was I when I saw Billy D. Williams. This is my first Billy D. Williams Colt 45. I was pretty excited. They were like $2.29, and I'm used to paying like $1.60 something for a Mickey's, but extra value. Billy D. It's pouring down rain now. Now I've heard people say, like, if you don't like hearing people talk about video games, now's the time to leave. But I've always liked video games my whole life, and the thing is, it's what I like about it is actually how it applies to mental tools and real life. I don't think it should be seen as an escape. For instance, one of my friends loves photography, and they love this different game where you get like these blocks of color swatches, and basically you arrange them all in a grouping based on their shade, their color. It's even hard for me to explain because I don't think that way. So I tried to play that game. It forced me to think in more of a color relation way. So that was neat. Malt liquor, so thirsty. Ugh. Pouring down rain. I left my lawnmower out. That's why it's pouring down rain. Alright, so video games I played in the past, like the old Atari games, there was a thing called some sort of castle maze game where you're basically just a blip moving items around, and one of the items was a bridge. They make you pass through walls. And in one of the walls was a ring or another dot, and if you picked up that dot, you could then pass through a wall, and you got to a special treasure room. I loved that. And then there was also this racing game where the idea is that you race and you stay on the track. But I found by spinning off the track once that the actual landscape just kind of keeps going. So you just start exploring off the grid, so to speak. It's harder and harder and harder until like basically like you're going really slow, winding your way through trees and houses and stuff like that. But I found it fun until it's my first experience with like a sandbox video game. And it was the idea that like the game provided an experience outside of itself, outside of its planner's ideas. And then I don't really think I got into video games much until Halo came out, because I really liked the Larry Niven book, Ringworld. And when Halo came out, and I'm like, that's the Ring World from Larry Niven's novels. I read them all. And sure enough, when I got that video game, I felt like I was in the book, or in a version of a story that he hadn't told. I loved it. And then I got on online gameplay, which I haven't done much, but my online gameplay kind of reflected what I like about gameplay anyway. Is I liked doing things that seemed out of the ordinary. Like I was hunting people down in a way that caught a lot of people off guard. For instance, one of my favorites, I've told this story before in a video game story, is that I was playing Halo and I'm running down one of the tunnels in one of the ice worlds. All I've got, I'm totally out of ammo. I've got a rocket launcher with one rocket. And I'm running through this tunnel, and here comes this warthog around the corner. It's got a driver, a gunner, and a stand-up gunner. And they don't even shoot me. They're just going to run me over, because where am I going to go? And there was two rocks. There's a small rock and a big rock. Now, my idea was they're going to have to go around the big rock to run me over at the small rock. So what I was thinking was I would crouch down as if I was going to hide on the small rock, and all they have to do is like take my head off. And I'd wait till they swerved around the big rock, and then I'd sprint to the big rock right as they come whipping by, and then I'd keep that in between us, and maybe I'd get a good shot with my rocket launcher. And but the guy anticipated that plan, and instead he hit the big rock so that if I ran towards it, I would just basically take my own head off, and he was going to land on top of me. But when they did it, they hit that rock and they spun around, and right as they spun around and they were upside down, so all three of their heads are facing me, I lifted my rocket launcher, put it right up into their wahoo. And then, all their dead bodies come out, I get all their weapons, and I get the warthog. I felt like a boss. But I used to do fun things like that with the Banshee. I used to only kill people with the Banshee with the wing. Like I'd use the weapons actually to scare them out of places, like make them run for it, and then I'd stop shooting them and let them run for it, and then I'd just kind of swoop down, take them out with the wing. I loved it. Sometimes I just ignored the gameplay, and all I did was hide places and jump out and run them over with the warthog or the Banshee or something. And then Fallout 4. This was so funny because I basically it was I thought I was going to die, and it was a strange tweak of what I was not expecting, the game mechanics. So in one of the quests is there's this death claw trapped in a house because its egg is in the house, and you could finish that quest by grabbing the egg, going back to that death claw's nest, and putting it back in the nest. And I thought, why not do that? And I was with Piper. She's the a newspaper editor. She's cute, kind of got that East Coast cuteness to her. That snarky, kind of rude, but kind of warm and welcoming as well. Your relationship changes with your people as you play the game. Hour after hour, it gets better and better depending on how they like you or not. And we had reached the point where she was like, I do one more good deed, and she was going to like me a lot. I didn't know this, of course. So I put the egg in there. I turn around, and Piper's like, hey, Earl, you got a second? And right as she says this, it pauses for you to answer, and that's the only time that the game mechanics kind of stop moving. They kind of slow down. For instance, if there's gunfire in the distance, you'll just keep hearing it go off as you're talking. I see a Deathclaw come up behind me, the mother, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna die. And so I'm like, sure, Piper, what's on your mind? Just for fun. And the Deathclaw starts doing this, which I think is gonna just take my head off, but what she's doing is covering up the egg with dirt. And so I'm standing there where Piper's talking to me like, I really like what you've done in the Wasteland, Blue. You've been very inspirational. And I'm like, uh-huh. And meanwhile, dirt's going all the way around me, and the Deathclaw claws are going right by my head, and I'm just cool as a cucumber, thank you, Piper, I like you, I might really like you. Flirt button. That's how I roll. I got a Deathclaw right behind me, claws next to my head, and I'm like, how you doing? Oh man, I wish I would have bought some 50-cent burritos. So hungry.